Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard. My name is Adam. This is week 15. We're going to be covering Exodus 10:1 through 13:16, finishing up the plagues in Egypt, including the 3 days of darkness, really how that's going to be paralleled in the last days, and how the book of Revelation comes into play with all these things. So a lot to cover. Let's start with prayer. Then we're going to blow our shofars, the spiritual weapons that the Most High has allowed us to have. Hallelujah. And we'll get on with studying this week's Torah portion. So, Heavenly Father, Yahweh Most High, we just come before you and bless you in your Son, Yahusha's name. Father, thank you for drawing us unto your Son and giving us life abundantly through your Son and teaching us the right way through the pure unleavened bread and the doctrine that he brought down from you. Father, thank you for the spotless Lamb, our Messiah, whose blood covers us, O Yahweh, and marks us. Father, mark us as yours. Also as the Sabbath, you say that when your children of Israel celebrate the Sabbath, you mark them, Father. So we just ask that you mark us and just to continue to give us of your Spirit, that we may understand your words, that we may be faithful hearers and not just faithful hearers and doers of your word. It's in your Son, Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. All right, hallelujah. Get your shofars ready. Ooh, praise Yah. All right, let's get into Exodus 10, and then we'll talk about it. So praise Yah. Shemot, Exodus chapter 10. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart, and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him, and that you may tell in the ears of your son, and of your son's son, what things I have wrought in Mitzrayim, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am Yahuwah.
And Moshe and Aharon came in unto Pharaoh, and said unto him, Thus says Yahweh Elohai of the Ivrim, How long will you refuse to humble yourselves before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring the locusts into your coast, and they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth. And they shall eat the remnant of that which is escaped, which remains unto you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which grows for you out of the field. And they shall fill your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all the Mitzrayim, which neither your fathers nor your fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve Yahweh Elohaikim. Know you not that Mitzrayim is destroyed? And Moshe and Aharon were brought again unto Pharaoh. And he said unto them,
Go, serve Yahuwah Elohaikim. But who are they that shall go?
And Moshe said, We will go with our young and with our old, with our sons and with our daughters, with our flocks and with our herds we will go. For we must hold a feast unto Yahuwah. And he said unto them,
Let Yahuwah be so with you, as I will let you go. And your little ones, look to it, for evil is before you. Not so. Go now, ye that are men, and serve Yahuwah for that ye did desire.
And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Stretch out your hand over the land of Mitzrayim for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Mitzrayim, and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail has left.
And Moshe stretched forth his rod over the land of Mitzrayim. And Yahweh brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Mitzrayim, and rested in all the coast of Mitzrayim. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened, and they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left, and there remained not any green thing in the trees, or in the herbs of the field, through all the land of Mitzrayim. Then Pharaoh called for Moshe and Aaron in haste, and he said,
I have sinned against Yahuwah Elohim, and against you. Now therefore forgive, I pray you, my sin only this once, and entreat Yahuwah Elohim, that he may take away from me this death only.
And he went out from Pharaoh and entreated Yahweh. And Yahweh turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coasts of Mitzrayim. But Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Yasharel go. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Stretch out your hand towards the heavens, that there may be darkness over the land of Mitzrayim, even darkness which may be felt.
And Moshe stretched forth his hand toward the heavens, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Mitzrayim 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Yasharel had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called unto Moshe and said,
Go ye, serve Yahuwah, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you.
And Moshe said, You must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto Yahweh Eloheinu. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not a hoof be left behind. For thereof must we take to serve Yahweh Eloheinu. And we know not with what we must serve Yahweh until we come thither. But Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him,
Get you from me, take heed to yourself. See my face no more. For in that day you see my face, you shall die.
And Moshe said, You have spoken well. I will see your face again no more. Oof, man, what a spicy interaction, eh? Man, you know, in just seeing this interaction between Pharaoh and Moshe, and it's like, you know, of course Pharaoh's walking in darkness and just the deceit, and it's like you know sometimes, you know, it's like you can even just see this in today's world when someone says something to you and you're like, you know that there's deceit behind it. Just kind of how Moshe was able to discern from Pharaoh. I want to just go to the beginning here and just, I don't know if I want to speak on Yahweh's behalf, but some people have, you know, accused Yahweh in saying that, like, you know, Pharaoh didn't have a chance to even be righteous. And I think the Aramaic just reads a little more, at least to my understanding, a little better, where it says here, Yahweh, I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these signs before them. The Aramaic reads, And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have made strong the design of his heart, and the design of the heart of his servants, to set to set these my signs among them. So to me, that just makes a little more sense in that, hey, these were the wicked plans that they had, and Yahweh was just allowing them to be those plans to be strengthened. We kind of see something similar in the last days, Revelation 17:17, and this was key for me to help me grow, because there was a time where I was researching all the wicked things that are going on in the world, and everything from, all the conspiracies out there of what's going on, and there's just kind of a moment I was like, oh, like we're toast, like they got us. But then I was like, wait a minute, this passage really helped me capture this, like, hey, hang on, everything is in Yahweh's control. For Elohim has put in their hearts, this is talking about the kings of the earth working together with the beast, put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Elohim shall be fulfilled. So I see something similar in the last days as well. But nevertheless, obviously, one of the greatest story, probably the greatest story ever told. This is why I think Exodus is my favorite book in the Torah, because this is just, to me, it's the greatest love story. His loves, are in the midst of the reigning city of the world that controls the rest of the world, food and policies and military and this country oppresses his people, the very people that built up that country, and the very people that even fought in their armies for them and helped build the walls. That oppressive country then turned on those people and oppressed them, enslaved them, physically, morally, spiritually, doctrinally, and obviously I'm speaking in broad terms that allows us to hopefully maybe see where we're at today is a very similar place, and I see this love story happening again. I've got all my eggs in that basket, to be honest with you. I don't know if we should even, we can use that. That's a farmer's term. That's not a Easter term. So all my eggs are in that basket that he's coming back for his loves again that are in a very similar situation. And though we've been freed spiritually by the blood of Yahusha, and we are free indeed, yet we're still, obviously, physically, we're still, look around, we're still here in Mitzrayim. So anyways, nevertheless, this is one of the greatest stories ever told, and just Psalm 78 just helps us set the stage of, why. Give ear, O my people, to my law, my Torah. This is obviously, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are here. You're here to learn and listen, and to learn together the Torah. My prayer is that when we study these, that alongside of you all, we all grow together like a team. That's my mindset. That's just so. Give ear, my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of Yahweh and his strength and his wonderful works that he has done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born. It's like, man, these beautiful children he's giving us, and it's like, if we don't pass this knowledge on to them, it's literally like we're hating them and we're setting them up for failure. And it's like, and to realize that this whole walk, this whole new way of life, which is really the old way, it's their inheritance. So even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in Elohim and not forget the works of Elohim, but keep his commandments. Literally, the whole point of life. What is it? Isn't it the end of the book of Ecclesiastes? Right? Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So I'm sorry, finishing up Psalm 78, verse 8. And might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with Elohim. And this is just more evidence. I should have added this too. I'm going to continue to do videos in the future helping Christians see what it really means to walk in the Spirit. And so here's some early signs of just, not having the Spirit or not walking in the Spirit, but walking in the flesh, of what that really means here. And so obviously we're just embarking on the Torah portions of seeing this stubborn generation. I mean, actually just starting next week we'll be reading about it. So we'll be reading a lot about what not to do and about what to do, all in the same Torah portions. So let's go back to Exodus 10. Let's see. Obviously we have the contrasting humble Moshe versus the very prideful Pharaoh. And a reminder, we'll just do a quick review of what some of the Proverbs say about this. Proverbs 11:2, when pride comes, then comes shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. And obviously we see that playing out in this and some of the subsequent Torah portions. Proverbs 13:10, only by pride comes contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom. And, that's one thing that we as believers in Messiah and coming to the knowledge of the truth, which is the Torah, is to continue to humble ourselves. The book of Sirach somewhere says, the wiser you are, or the greater you are, the more humble you should be. So it's like the more we're growing closer to Yahweh, the more we're walking in the power and the Spirit. The same thing as our Messiah. So walking like sons of Elohim, the more humble and meek and lowly we should be, rather than prideful and contentious. Proverbs 16:18, we see this with Pharaoh, specifically, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. I mean, Pharaoh's a very good example of that. Better is it to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. And then last one real quickly, this is just a reminder to always stay meek and humble, because I have seen people start meek and humble, and then as they grow or maybe gain position or whatever it may be, they can be tested in this area. And so we've got to always check ourselves that we're staying meek. And we're going to discuss here in a second, what it even means to be meek. Not a full dive, but a reminder. But it says the meek will he guide in judgment. I mean, it's a big part of his Torah. So you can even just say the meek will he guide in his Torah, and the meek will he teach his way. This is saying the same thing. The way, of course, is his Torah. So it's literally saying the same thing twice in two different ways. And so just a quick reminder, obviously stuff it's not that you don't know, but we need, Yahweh's people need reminders, just like, just like in the garden. It's not like you go pull weeds once and then, great, good job, you pull weeds for the whole season. That's an ongoing process. And so that's why we have to continue. Remember, that's why he wants us to, I'm getting ahead of myself, that's why he reminds us about the Passover so many times in the scriptures, and to do it every year, because we need this constant reminder of what he did for us and what he did for us and what he did for us. That's just human nature. Our Exodus 10:15, and we should get to a point where the Torah fills us, and it is our love, lest, we hear statements like, tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Well, that means because you don't like it, you don't love it. So this should be something that is loved and desired and yearned for, and this is why we should bring up our children in the fear of Yahweh, with chastening, but they've got to love this, because if they don't, they're going to go running for the hills. So it's like, if this walk becomes just grayscale, of just drab, which I'm not, the religious system I came out of, Judaism, that's kind of what they do. They even take the savor out of the Sabbath, to where it's just like, what can you do? Why would I want to do the Sabbath for the rest of my life after I become an adult? Why would I want to continue to do this thing where I can't do anything on the Sabbath? I mean, I can't tear toilet paper, I can't turn on a light switch. And, there's something in the soul that's like, this ain't right, And so in a similar way, if we're coming in a Torah and obedience, if we make this walk just grayscale drab, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be out of here ASAP, In a similar way, it's like, just another example, like the Church of Christ denomination, no instruments. There's just like, when the scriptures even clearly say to use instruments, but there's just something about the heart and soul of man, that music is just a big part of. And so it's like, you see children leaving those churches by the droves, and it's like people sit around, look around, and wonder why is it just the older generations? Why is this church drying up? Because it's like, this is why we need to make sure we're sticking to the Torah of the Most High and not adding man-made traditions to everything. All right, I'm getting off on a tangent here. And I don't know why my phone is all of a sudden doing the speaker thing. Oh, man. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but hopefully not. All right. Maybe someone out there can send me a message. Out of nowhere, I haven't changed anything with my speaker setup, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, if my phone's anywhere near the computer, it's just like where it used to be able to just, I'm using it as my camera, the iPhone, and it's close enough to my speakers now. It's just picking up all kinds of staticky noise. But anyways, let's get to the Torah portion. So Exodus 10:15, for they covered the face of the whole earth, so the land was darkened, and they did eat all the herb of the land. So this is the locust. I don't have to read the whole thing again. You guys, we read it earlier, but just looking in Revelation, in the last days, Revelation 8:7, the first angel blew his trumpet, and there followed hail and fire mixed with blood, which fell on the earth. And a third part of the earth was burnt up, and a third of the trees were burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. So obviously, all the vegetation is going to be destroyed, just like before. And here we go. No, I didn't have the locust scriptures, but the locust army, of course, the locust army coming out of the pit. So we see these parallels here. Just a reminder, Revelation 7:1-3, after this I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth, that no wind might blow on the earth, or sea, or against any tree. Then I saw another angel ascend from the rising of the sun with the seal of the living God, and he called out with a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth or the sea or the trees till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their foreheads. And so you see also the similar pattern that Yah's people will be protected. And there's a passage in actually when we get to the darkness, there's a passage in Jasher that we have got to read, because you see that he even makes a separation between the righteous and unrighteous within his own camp, so that let's see. Let's go to the darkness. There's a lot of people, a lot of YouTube prophets, a lot of prophets have been calling for 3 days of darkness again. This has been going on for years, and it's it's true. In the last days, you see something here. Revelation 16:4. Sneezing on live. This is live, brothers and sisters, uncut. Revelation 16:4. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters say, you are righteous, O Yahweh, which art and wast and shall be, because you have judged thus. For they have shed the blood of the saints and prophets, and you have given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, even so, Yahweh, almighty, true, and righteous are your judgments. And the 4th angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given him unto scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of Elohim, which hath power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. And the 5th angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the Elohim of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. Something I was just thinking about, is the sun literally going to go, nuclear reactor scale and start scorching people? Maybe is this part of also the spiritualization of the 2 witnesses breathing fire? I was thinking of 2 Samuel 23 as I was reading this, speaking about this is the last words of David. I'll just read it from the top here. 2 Samuel 23. Now these be the last words of David. David the son of Jesse said, and the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of the Elohim of Jacob, and the sweet psalmist of Israel said, the Spirit of Yahweh spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. The Elohim of Yasharel said, the rock of Yasharel spake to me, he that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of Elohim. And he shall be as the light of the morning when the sun rises, even when morning without clouds, even a morning without clouds, as the tender grass springing out of the earth by clear and shining after the rain. And so just wondering, is this talking about how in the last days, right ruling is going to permeate? Maybe even his people will get their act together and live in a community together. Maybe they'll all come together, maybe in one mind and one accord, and maybe right ruling would permeate within those gates. And just maybe, maybe it starts small and maybe somewhere, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow. I don't know. It's just a thought, of course, just about one day things changing within Yah's people. And maybe there's some symbology here about the sun, and then in the fire, scorching men with fire. Maybe does that tie into, again, the Revelation 11 witnesses? If any man hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth and devours their enemy. And so now we have men devouring people with fire, and now we have the sun doing it. Is this sun something spiritualized? Is it the actual sun burning people? It's yet to be seen. I want to share Isaiah 59, 7 through 10. So we saw, of course, the Egyptians in total darkness. It said darkness that can be felt. Now think about, of course, also in a spiritual way, you've got 8 billion people running around, and how many people are walking in the light? How many people have any light lighting their path? It's a dark, dark kingdom out there. So when it says the kingdom of the beast will be full of darkness, well, in a spiritual way, it is. And I wonder how much of the book of Revelation is literal, or spiritualized, or symbolized, or all of it. I don't know. Isaiah 59, 7 through 10. I'm still walking out my salvation with fear and trembling, especially when it comes to the book of Revelation, which is still so, I don't want to say cryptic, veiled, hidden. I've said this a lot in the past, but it's like people are like, hey, Adam, you got a timeline? It's like, man, every time I feel like I do, someone's like, well, what about this verse? And you're like, yeah, you're right. I don't know. All right, I'm back to the drawing board. Isaiah 59, 7. It's not that hopeless. I'm just saying I really think we should take a humble approach at Revelation. Yeah. Their feet run to evil. They make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. The way of peace they know not. This is another saying for the Torah. There is no judgment in their goings. That's part of the Torah. They have made them crooked paths, not the straight and narrow one. Whoever goes therein shall not know peace. Therefore is judgment far from us, neither does justice overtake us. We wait for light, but behold obscurity, for brightness, but we walk in darkness. We grope for the wall like the blind, and we grope as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noon as in the night, and we are in desolate places as dead men. So it's like literally like in Egypt, where it says darkness that can be felt. Not even the light of the stars, not even the light of fire, nothing, just pitch black. I don't know if any of you have ever walked in a just pitch black night, or maybe the lights went out in the house and literally there's just nothing, and you're just like, you're like, oh man, I can't. Yeah, you're like, you're tiptoeing because like, I don't want to trip over everything, and you're like feeling the wall, and you're like, Well, in a spiritual sense, people are doing that. In the spiritual realm, that's what's going on right now. And the kingdom of the beast is full of darkness, but yet light is shining forth in these last days. Light in a very, very dark place is shining forth. Much like Messiah, we have to walk like him and to be lights. He says that we're the light of the world. And a city that's set on a hill cannot hide its light, but put it on a bushel. And so it's time for us to walk out his truth openly and together, not against each other, but to come together as one. And it's time to start to let a spiritual fire off. Hallelujah. Psalm 119, 105, the cure for that just dark, dark path, right? Psalm 119, 105. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Proverbs 6:23, for the commandment is a lamp and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Let's read Isaiah 8:13 through 22. Sanctify Yahweh Sabaoth himself, and let him be your fear. Let him be your dread, not the coming money transfer, not the coming beef shortage, not the cryptocurrency takeover, not the Rothschilds or what Bill Gates is up to. Let him be your fear and be your dread, and he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. I mean, it can't even get more clear than that. And I will wait upon Yahweh that hides his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh has given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel, from Yahweh Sabaoth, which dwells in Mount Zion. And when they shall say to you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter. So it's like, in today's context, it's like, hey, maybe we should like listen to what the news outlets are saying, and the false prophets, prophesying here and there. And should not a people seek unto their Elohim for the living unto the dead? To the Torah and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So, y'all, there's a lot of darkness. And even people that claim to be his, there's darkness permeates their life. And they're deceived. But this is, we have to be long-suffering, and we have to cut through the darkness. You know what it's like. So it's like think about that time that's just so dark. Maybe parents, try this at home with your children. Get it real dark, and it's like, but then what happens? You light a match or get that cell phone light going, and it's like, you can see, right? That's like what happens when the Torah comes into someone's life. Of course, it starts, let me not take away from the cross whatsoever, it starts with belief and faith of what Messiah did for us. Listen, that's the event in history that got us to really think and be like, wow, man, that's love, and man, that's someone I want to follow. That is someone I want to believe. That is the Son of Yahweh. I want to believe. But of course, it's like when we go from darkness, which is disobedience, to light, walking in his Torah. It's like that. It's like the flashlight light comes on. Whew, I can see. Let's go to Jasher 80, verse 36 through 40. We've got to read this. This is really important, because this is going to be important for the last days too. This because Yahweh is not only going to separate between believers and unbelievers, but even within his own camp. And Elohim set darkness upon Egypt, that the whole land of Egypt and Pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. At that time died many of the people of Israel who had rebelled against Yahweh, and who would not hearken to Moses and Aaron, and believed not in them that Elohim had sent them. And who had said, we will not go forth from Egypt, lest we perish with hunger in a desolate wilderness, and who had not hearkened to the voice of Moses. And Yahweh plagued them in the 3 days of darkness, and the Israelites buried them in those days without the Egyptians knowing of them or rejoicing over them. And so that's important. I believe those are true words in a true account of history, and I believe that stuff is going to happen again. I really do. And that's why the commandments, the Torah, has always been the separator between his people and who are not. There's nothing new under the sun. In Revelation 18:4, is the warning. He says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. So what does that tell you for someone who is his people that does not come out of her? That they will partake of the plagues like the Egyptians will. Ezekiel 20:33 through 40. This is the regathering. And it's telling us, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, says Yahweh. And he says, I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you should know that I am Yahweh. So it's like, man, can you imagine like this like regathering, and then people are literally going to be stopped at the door? And that's where I believe Messiah says, not everyone that says unto me, Lord, Lord, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will come to me in that day, say, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, and in your name have cast out devils, and in your name have performed many wonderful works? And then he says unto them, I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of lawlessness, Torah-lessness. And so this is why we have got to continue to share this message in love and truth. We have got to fish for men. The Aramaic of the darkness, it says, and Moshe stretched out his hand toward the height of the heavens, and there was darkness, just dark darkness, In all the land of Mitzrayim 3 days no man saw his brother, and none arose from his place 3 days. But among the sons of Yasharel there was light, that the wicked among them who died might be buried, and that the righteous might be occupied with the precepts of the Torah in their dwellings. Man, praise Yah for a second witness there. I want to share one more passage on the 3 days of darkness, and then we're going to move on to chapter 11 here. So let's go to the Wisdom of Solomon. This was in the Apocrypha section of the 1611 KJV. This was also in the Greek Septuagint. So this has a lot of scriptural support and backing, all that good stuff. So this is a kind of a poetic and deeper look into what happened that night and why, and actually what happened to them. This is some wild stuff. If you've never read this, this is So great are your judgments and hard to describe. Therefore, uninstructed souls have gone astray. For when lawless men supposed that they held the holy nation in their power, they themselves lay as captives of darkness and prisoners of long night, shut in under their roofs, exiles from eternal providence. For thinking that in their secret sins they were unobserved, behind a dark curtain of forgetfulness, they were scattered, terribly alarmed, and appalled by specters. This is like ghosts. For not even the inner chamber that held them protected them from fear, but terrifying sounds rang out around them, and dismal phantoms with gloomy faces appeared. Wow. And no power of fire was able to give light, nor did the brilliant flames of the stars avail to illuminate that hateful night. Nothing was shining through to them except a dreadful, self-kindled fire, and in terror they deemed the things which they saw to be worse than that unseen appearance. The delusions of their magic art lay humbled, and their boasted wisdom was scornfully rebuked. I mean, this is going to happen again to the wizards and the sorcerers of this land again. For those who promised to drive off the fears and disorders of a sick soul were sick themselves with ridiculous fear. For even if nothing disturbing frightened them, yet, scared by the passing of beasts and the hissing of serpents, they perished in trembling fear, refusing to look even at the air, though it nowhere could be avoided. For wickedness is a cowardly thing, condemned by its own testimony, distressed by conscience. It has always exaggerated the difficulties. For fear is nothing but surrender of the helps that come from reason, and the inner expectation of help, being weak, prefers ignorance of what causes the torment. But throughout the night, which was really powerless, and which beset them from the recesses of powerless Hades, they all slept the same sleep, and now were driven by monstrous specters, and now were paralyzed by their soul's surrender, for sudden and unexpected fear overwhelmed them. And whoever was there fell down, and thus was kept shut up in a prison not made of iron. For whether he was a farmer or a shepherd or a workman who toiled in the wilderness, he was seized and endured the inescapable fate. For with one chain of darkness they were all bound. Whether there came a whistling wind, or a melodious sound of birds in a wide-spreading branches, or the rhythm of violent rushing water, or the harsh cracks of rocks hurled down, or the unseen running of leaping animals, or the sound of the most savage roaring beasts, or an echo thrown back from a hollow of the mountains, it paralyzed them with terror. For the whole world was illumined with brilliant light, and was engaged in unhindered work, while over those men alone heavy night was spread, an image of the darkness that was destined to receive them, but still heavier than darkness were they to themselves. In just a few verses in chapter 18. But for your holy ones there was a very great light. Their enemies heard their voices but did not see their forms, and counted them happy for not having suffered, and were thankful that your holy ones, though previously wronged, were doing them no injury, and they begged their pardon for having been at variance with them. Therefore you did provide a flaming pillar of fire as a guide for your people's unknown journey, and a harmless sun for their glorious wandering. For their enemies deserved to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, those who had kept your sons imprisoned, through whom the imperishable light of the law was to be given to the world. Praise Yah. I'm glad I read that. All right, let's go on to chapter 11. It's a little No, it's 11. Yeah, 11 short. Okay. I'll see you back in just a second. Praise the Most High, Yahweh. Shemot, Exodus chapter 11. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh, and upon Mitzrayim. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold.
And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Mitzrayim. Moreover, the man Moshe was very great in the land of Mitzrayim, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants and in the sight of the people. And Moshe said, Thus says Yahweh, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Mitzrayim, and all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sits upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Yasharel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that you may know how that Yahweh puts a difference between the Mitzrayim and Yasharel. And all these your servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, Get you out, and all the people that follow you. And after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in great anger. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Mitzrayim.
And Moshe and Aharon did all these wonders before Pharaoh. And Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Yasharel go out of his land. Whew! All right, it's heating up. Praise Yah. Let's just real quickly, a few things here. Verse 7, he makes this distinction. There's just going to be this outward just knowing between Yahweh's people and the people of the world. We saw that in Revelation 7, that there's going to be a seal in their forehead. We see in Revelation 14:3 that his name is in their forehead. We're going to be tying that all together here shortly when in Exodus 12, when we talk about the sign of the blood of the Lamb on the doorposts of the house, and how Yahweh marks his people and the different phases of the mark. It's not just one thing, we'll talk about that in a second. But we're going to clearly identify how Yahweh separates his people from not his people. Much like Paul says, who you obey is your master, and that's just how it is. And so if you obey Yahweh, you're marked by him, and if you disobey him, you're unmarked, or even I would even go on to say you're marked by the beast, because it doesn't matter if you are in any of the world religions, New Age, Buddhism, whatever, you're disobeying Yah. That's the end result. And even if you are so close, you can be yet so far. Even with mainstream Christianity, not keeping the commandments, you're still in disobedient. You're not being marked by Yah. And it just so happens that the few things that Christianity has changed happen to be part of the actual mark of Yahweh. So go figure. No wonder there. But let's I want to take a look at verse 8, because we just got done saying that Moses was the most meek man of the earth, but yet here he's getting spicy with Pharaoh, right? And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger, and we don't see Moses being rebuked for this, which brings up a point. Because it definitely says in Galatians says that anger is a fruit of the flesh. But then we have to think about it for a second. We have to be reasonable and be like, there's plenty of verses where Yahweh is angry. And if he's our perfect example and if we're made in his image, we have to see what is he really saying here. And I think actually Paul probably does the best job here, honestly, of capturing the entirety of it in one stroke here. It says, be angry and sin not, and let not the sun go down upon your wrath. And so basically, things happen in our life and they need to be dealt with. Unchecked, unbridled anger, not okay. Anger that turns you into a whirlwind of a storm or a lion in your own house, not okay. Nehemiah 5, I think here's a pretty decent little picture. And just to set the stage, Nehemiah, they're coming back from Babylon, and they're getting a fresh start, and they're like, hey, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to keep Yahweh's laws. Like one of the first things, like the rich people are getting the poor people bound up with interest loans and stuff. And Nehemiah's like, are you kidding me? And he got mad, right? And so here he is. And I was very angry when I heard their cry and these words, because the poor people are like, hey, the rich people kind of like got us all tangled up, and yeah, we can't afford stuff. So then I consulted with myself and rebuked the nobles and the rulers and said to them, you exact usury, interest, every one of his brother, and I set a great assembly against them. And so he handled it in a courtroom in a processed way, but he took his anger and he did the right thing with it. Nahum 1:3, Yahweh is slow to anger and in great power and will not at all acquit the wicked. And this is literally what we just saw with Nehemiah. I don't know how long it took him to be angry. I don't know if he was slow to angry or not, but he took that anger and did the right thing with it. Much like in a parallel way we saw a few Torah portions ago, Jacob was scared of his brother Esau. He was fearful, but he took that fear and he put it in Yahweh's hands and petitioned him and reminded him of the promises, but just put his faith in Yahweh. So it's what we do with it is, of course, what is most important, because everybody gets angry. It's what we do with that anger. And so let's go to... All right, let's go to chapter 12. Here we go. Shemot, Exodus, chapter 12. And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe and El Ahron in the land of Mitzrayim, saying,
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the assembly of Yasharel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole multitude of the assembly of Yasharel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two sides of the posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and matzah, unleavened bread. And with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remains of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Pesach. For I will pass through the land of Mitzrayim this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both man and beast. And against all the Elohai of Mitzrayim I will execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. And the blood shall be to you for a mark upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Mitzrayim. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat matzah. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whoever eats hametz, leavened bread, from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Yasharel. And in the first day there shall be a holy assembly, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy assembly to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And ye shall guard the feast of matzah, unleavened bread, For in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore shall ye guard this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first day, on the 14th day of the month at evening, ye shall eat matzah, until the 21st day of the month at evening. 7 days shall there be no hametz found in your houses, for whosoever eats that which is with hametz, leaven, even that soul shall be cut off from the assembly of Yasharel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing with hametz. In all your habitations shall ye eat matzah.
Then Moshe called for all the elders of Yasharel, and said unto them,
Draw out, and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Pesach. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. For Yahweh will pass through to smite the Mitzrayim. And when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. And ye shall guard this thing for an ordinance to you and to your sons forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye are come to the land which Yahweh will give you, according as he has promised, that ye shall guard this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Pesach, who passed over the houses of the children of Yasharel in Mitzrayim, when he smote the Mitzrayim and delivered our houses.
And the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Yasharel went away, and did as Yahweh had commanded Moshe and Aharon, so did they. And it came to pass that at midnight Yahweh smote all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Mitzrayim, and there was a great cry in Mitzrayim, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moshe and Aharon by night, and said,
Rise up, and get ye forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Yasharel, and go, serve Yahweh, as ye have said, and take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also.
And the Mitzrayim were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, We be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, and their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Yasharel did according to the word of Moshe, and they borrowed of the Mitzrayim jewels of silver, and jewels of gold and raiment. And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Mitzrayim, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Mitzrayim. And the children of Yasharel journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside children. And a mixed multitude went up also with him, and flocks, and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked matzah cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Mitzrayim, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Mitzrayim, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Yasharel, who dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim, and in the land of Canaan, they and their fathers, was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day it came to pass, that all the hosts of Yahweh went out from the land of Mitzrayim. It is a night to be much observed unto Yahweh, for bringing them out of the land of Mitzrayim. This is that night of Yahweh, to be observed of all the children of Yasharel in their generations. And Yahweh said unto Moshe and Aharon,
This is the ordinance of the Pesach. There shall no stranger eat thereof, but every manservant that is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then he shall eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. You shall not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the assembly of Yasharel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with you, and will keep the Pesach to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no one uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One Torah shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourns among you.
Thus did all the children of Yasharel, as Yahweh commanded Moshe and Aharon, so did they. And it came to pass at the selfsame day that Yahweh did bring the children of Yasharel out of the land of Mitzrayim by their armies.
Whew. This is literally one of the biggest nights of the entire history of mankind. And we read earlier that Yahweh raised up Pharaoh for this very reason, that his name might be proclaimed throughout all the earth. So it's like when we talk about confessing his name, blessing his name, singing praises to his name, believing on the name of Yahweh, believing on the name of Yahusha, like retelling this story, reliving this every year, teaching our children these things. This is the ancient path. This is the way of Yahweh. This is his story. I mean, this is the greatest story ever told. And so it's like how the faith went to Easter eggs and bunnies and with a veneer of Resurrection Sunday should kindle a fire in us to be zealous for Yahweh. Like, where's his honor? And this is the tragedy of mainstream Christianity today, in my opinion, is the greatest story ever told, the Passover, has been replaced with Easter, and you see it. Like, I mean, and unless you live in a hole, I don't like going to Walmart. We try to shop elsewhere as much as we can, but it's just things we have to go to Walmart for. And you see the seasons change. You see the holidays change. They set up for Christmas. They set up for Thanksgiving. They set up for Easter. They set up for Valentine's Day. And this is the way of the world. People just they go through they buy their Easter baskets, and they buy this. They buy the eggs. They buy the dye. They buy the bunnies. They buy the little marshmallow peeps. And this is the cycle every year. This is what gets embedded in the memory every year. The children grow up and do it, and then they grow up and they teach their children to do it, and the cycle continues. But that's where everything has to abruptly stop, cut that off like a malignant tumor, and then we start walking in the ways of the Most High, which I'm here to report, and again, preaching to the choir, just reminding you that this is the way of life. It's like, this is what our children look forward to every, like, oh, Passover's coming up, sweet. Which for us has become like a prep for Sukkot, because it's 7-day festival, and we take it back like it was in early days, and we come together as an assembly, and that's a big part of it. These things are, it's not just to be read about every year, but to be lived out, to be done, to be experienced, and coming together. When the brethren come together, some of you that have gone to fellowship or that have fellowship, you know what I'm talking about. But for some of you out there that may just never, it seems like almost every week we meet someone that this is their first time ever being in an assembly, and like they're usually brought to tears, and it's usually one of the biggest moments of their life. It's because it is. It's like what we believe is so ridiculous in that side of the world. It's like when we meet another soul that believes it, so we're like, I just want to talk to you forever. And it's like you meet family that you've just been looking for your whole life. And I feel really terrible for people that have not experienced this. And if you haven't, I want you need to thirst for it. You need to hunger for it, because this is the way of Yahweh. When we come together and we break bread together and we sing together, it's like there's so much power when dozens or hundreds of people. Imagine thousands of people saying the same thing at the same time in righteousness and not the ways of the world, because you get that at concerts, but it's all for wickedness. And just imagine doing that in righteousness. And when you do like Sukkot and we camp out for Passover as well, it's like you get to live in community temporarily, and which has been the best phase of my life ever. And I'm sorry. The point is that the desire to even do these things has been stolen from the hearts of Yah's people. And he says to do this forever, the Passover, which points to his son, the spotless lamb. And then even Paul says, let us keep the feast, right? And he's like, do this forever. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'll have a makeup day for you if you miss it somehow. And then you look at some of the most righteous kings were commended for putting such great effort behind doing the Passover, and how it's just been stolen from the hearts of Yah's people. It needs to be restored. And that should be our mission, is just restoring the goodness of just walking in his ways. And it's like what people are resisting and fighting, they just do not know. Getting to the beginning of Exodus 12, just a couple of points I just want to cover. Just to preface, I am going to cover a couple of calendar points in here. I just want to preface, in case you're new, the calendar can become a very big stumbling block, and it can become a really big hindrance in one's walk and growth in the way. I've seen people I love dearly go off on calendar journeys that consumes their entire walk. All they want to talk about is calendar. It's almost like they don't even talk about Messiah anymore. And these are extreme cases, and there's different varying degrees of calendar obsessions. But I just want to warn you that while talking about the calendar is important and it's not something to be avoided, but sometimes it is to be avoided. I don't know how to explain that. It's not to be obsessed over. How about that? But he does say here, this isn't a key verse for the calendar. This month shall be unto the beginning of months. It shall be the first month unto you. And we do know that this is the spring through multiple witnesses. We see even little hints in the plagues last week where it said the barley was smitten, but the wheat and the flax were not, because they were not grown up yet. That tells us what kind of time frame this was, and then that would be spring. But he's literally saying that the beginning of the year starts in spring. That's of course important to recognize compared to the Gregorian calendar that we're used to. That's the papal system that does govern and rule the world. It was given into his hand. Daniel 7:25 said that he would be changing laws and the calendar, and it would be given into his hand. However, that doesn't mean that we observe Yahweh's feasts on the papal calendar, while the world may operate it, and our bills may operate on it and things like that. When it comes to Yahweh, celebrating him, honoring him, we do it on the Hebrew calendar, which the beginning of that calendar starts in the springtime, anywhere in from the third week of March all the way into pretty much the third or fourth week of April. That time frame is where the first month starts. The beginning of the month, the beginning of the year starts as well. I have a link in the study notes, how to calculate Abib. That's what Abib, or the beginning of the year, is called. So I have a video link here if you want to understand how I understand the calendar. Long story short, people are like, what calendar do you keep? I don't have any fancy names behind it, but it is just a calendar of just taking what we have in the canon and Enoch. I believe the calendar was preserved in the book of First Enoch, so it does rely heavily on that. However, there's many different Enoch calendars. Some people call it Enoch calendar and just use the sun, and some people say it's an Enoch calendar and use the sun and the moon, and some people say it's an Enoch calendar and use the sun, moon, and stars. I'm the latter. I believe it's like using all the luminaries, sun, moon, and stars to calculate. Long story short, I want to share verse 10 of the Lamb. More of the specifics of how to do Passover. I have a dedicated teaching to that. I don't think I have a link on that here, But if you just search maybe Parable of the Vineyard, Passover, or maybe I'll put a link. Maybe I'll remember to put a link or if somebody maybe in the comment section can link last year's Passover study. But one thing I just want to make mention, just a nod to Messiah about letting nothing remain until the morning. That just that to me points to the tomb, of course, and how his body was fully consumed. It was gone, right? They're like, his body was totally gone. And so I think that when the lamb has to be totally burnt, long story short, after the lamb is eaten, whatever's leftovers need to be burnt completely in fire. That's one of the rules. And I believe that was pointing to Messiah, of course, being fully consumed. Hallelujah. It says here that on this night I will pass through the land of Egypt and smite all the firstborn, and against all the gods, the Elohai of Egypt, I will execute judgment. And what's interesting is you'll see something here in Isaiah 19. Let's take a look at that real quick. Isaiah 19, the burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rides upon a swift cloud and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst of thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. This reminds me of the Isaiah 8 passage we were reading earlier about how people are seeking to the wizards and the charmers. And Yah's like, just search me out. Hello? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to infer such sassiness from him. And let me not speak for him in that way. But hopefully you're understanding my point. It says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. I think he's set in place now. Daniel says that he's a king that obtains the kingdom by flatteries. And a fierce king shall rule over them, says Yahweh Sabaoth. And the water shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted up and dried. So basically the power of this end times Egypt is going to be taken from it. And then a little bit more detail of what's going to happen to the current world leader and the country it rules. Take a look at Ezekiel 29 through 32. About Pharaoh in the end times. Let's go to, what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, so Exodus 12:13. So this is the blood of the lamb shall be to you for a mark upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over. So certainly we know, this is an elementary Christian teaching that the blood of Yahusha is on our hearts. And this is how we're saved. This is the beginning of salvation. This is the beginning of their being saved out of Egypt. Same thing. And of course, they are taken into the wilderness and tested. Our walk is no different, brothers and sisters. The blood of Yahusha is the mark. It is the saving mark on our houses that even begins salvation. Without that, there is nothing. And then, of course, our whole lives were tested. Now, we're not thieves on the cross that have no time to get baptized, to keep Passover and Sabbath, so we don't have those excuses. We're here. We should be thankful that we're not thieves on the crosses that have no time to walk out of faith after believing. And so there is no leaning on that. There is no looking to that. Surely we can look into the mercy there, but nevertheless, we are blessed to have this time. So literally the mark. And just to give you a quick idea, Deuteronomy 6:8 summarizes the entire Torah, that it needs to be bind on our hand, certainly a reflection of our actions, and frontlets between our eyes, our thoughts. And of course, that's literally what he tells us to meditate on it. Psalm 1 tells us the one who meditates on the Torah day and night should be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, a fruitful tree, no doubt. Exodus 13, which we're going to read in a second, saying that when we keep the week of unleavened bread and have doctrine without leaven, of course, that's the spiritual symbology of it, that's going to be a sign, a marker on us, on our lives of who we are. And then, of course, the Sabbath itself, when we keep the Sabbath, he marks us. And Ezekiel 9:4 says the people who mourn and weep over the wickedness done in the land, they are marked as well as being compassionate and empathetic. I don't know if empathetic is the right word, but compassionate people who care and not just are just numb to this world's tough and terrible and a lot of bad stuff going on, and you've got these disgusting islands and adrenochromes, and the elites are doing this and all kinds of stuff, and the food system is completely destroyed and manipulated, and the healthcare, and we can just sit here and mull over these things, and we can mourn and weep, and we can beg Yahweh and his timing to come and to make sweeping changes and to sweep the darkness off this land and to instill his kingdom, his light that'll permeate. Exodus 12:14 says that this is to be done forever, and there is a wicked doctrine going on even within the Torah movement, those who have faith in Messiah and keeping the commandments, that are like angrily telling people not to keep the feasts in a foreign land. And so listen, there's like dozens of exhortations to keep the Passover forever, and there was one exhortation to only keep it in the land where he sets his name. However, Messiah ends this debate for us in John 4 and tells us that the time is coming where it's not going to matter whether it's Mount Gerizim or Jerusalem. And we should know that we are the temple of the Most High and that his Spirit dwells with us, and where 2 or 3 are gathered, there he is. So if we're in America and 2 or 3 of us are gathering, there his Spirit is dwelling with us. And we may keep the feast here. And so this is to be done forever. Even Paul in 1 Corinthians 5, it says, "Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For even Messiah, our Passover, is sacrificed for us." And then he doesn't say we don't keep it anymore and we do Easter. No, he says, "Therefore let us keep the feast, not with the old leaven." So not in the old way. And for a lot of us, even some of us, when we first came to this, we're like, let's do the Jewish Seder plate with eggs and honey and nuts and all sorts of unauthorized and uncommanded things on that plate. Literally not even eating the thing that says to eat, the lamb. And I think that's very symbolic that they don't eat of the lamb. So therefore let us keep the feast not with the old leaven, so not the old way, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth, the Torah. So let's do it the way the Torah instructs us to do it. Praise Yah. Praise Yah for the confirmation that he gave through Paul. Now, calendar discussion alert. So Exodus 12:15 through 17. Let's just read that real quickly. And before I read it, I just want to say that the discussion of evening to evening or morning to morning is hotly debated, and there almost seems to be a complete halfway divide in the middle. And the morning to morning position only seems to be gaining more and more steam. And so I'm here to recognize that there's quite a few verses that, with that interpretation, you can easily read that to be a morning to morning perspective. Heavily, the garden tomb, I had mentioned that earlier. There's quite a few verses that it does seem to allude to morning to morning. However, this is how I'm looking at it. When I weigh out a subject, especially when there seems to be appearing points for both sides, and I think someone who's not proud and arrogant would recognize, you do have a point, instead of just completely like, no, I don't. Instead of doing that, be like, hey, that's a decent point. And again, with the morning to morning perspective, there's decent points. However, I look at it as like a scale. My grandfather had one of these, and I love playing with it. And you'll notice there's different sizes of the weights. And so what I do before making a final decision, I balance everything on a scale. And I'll take evidence and I'll put it on one side, and I'll look at the evidence on the other side, and I'll see what weighs out heavier. And we have to recognize, I think certain verses are some of these bigger weights, while other verses might be a little bit smaller ones. And so what I'm about to read for you, in my opinion, is literally the biggest weight when weighing out this argument. And I just want to recognize that I don't make this a contentious subject. Matter of fact, there's people that live in community here that I love and trust and respect that respectfully disagree with me on this subject. But yet we can dwell together. And yet that these people I know are willing to humble themselves and be like, you know what? Even though I believe morning to morning, I see the overall need of coming together in community and the blessing and love and sincerity of coming together in community, putting that down and just yoking up with us and going with what the leadership here has determined, which is a evening to evening Sabbath execution of the commandment of keeping the Sabbath. So with all that being said, I believe, in my opinion, what we're about to read is the heaviest weight, in my opinion, as to why I have remained in the evening to evening understanding, although a lot of morning to morning, at least appearing to be morning to morning interpretations are shown to me. So here we go. 7 days shall you eat matzah, or unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eats chametz, or leavened bread, from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be a holy assembly, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy assembly unto you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And you shall guard the feast of matzah, unleavened bread, for in the self same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore you shall guard this in your generations forever. Now in the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat matzah until the 21st day of the morning at evening. 7 days, right? And so here's the point. Here's the long-winded point I want to make. So here Yahweh literally says, I want you to do something for 7 days. And then he proceeds to tell us how to count those 7 days, which is on the 14th day of the month at evening until the 21st day of the month at evening. So here's how I break it down. He just told us how to count 7 days. And so if I know how to count 7 days, I should know how to count 1 day. And so if I count 7 days evening to evening, I would therefore be like, okay, then I have to count 1 day evening to evening. And then a second witness to that is Leviticus 23:32 with the Day of Atonement. It says, it shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even, from even to even, and shall you celebrate your Sabbath. And what's interesting about this is it was told to be celebrated on the 10th day of the month, but he's telling you from the 9th day of the month at evening to the 10th day of the month at evening. So literally what this looks like, well, we'll go back to the unleavened bread, is how I understand, of course, evening starts with the night portions first of the day. So this is the entirety of the 14th day. And so the night portion first, then the day portion. So at the evening, I know it doesn't look like this is the evening of like changing from sunset to dark, but imagine, of course, the word evening is Arab, same word as Arab, which means mixture. And so it's a mixture of the light portion going into the dark portion. So if you count from the 14th month at evening, so that's day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. This is how you properly end at the evening portion of the 21st day and count 7 full days. This is just how I understand it. So again, I want to move past this. I really am not a calendar ministry, but just since we're here, I just wanted to make mention of that and move on. Consider it also told us about the assembly, that we were supposed to assemble on the 1st and the 7th day, right here. And the 1st day and the 7th day shall be a holy assembly. Consider that this is the same thing, or Hebrews 10:25 tells us, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much more as you see the day approaching. So even if there may be 1 million or 10 billion mouths telling you not to keep the feast, brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you that means all the more you should keep the feast days, and don't let anyone dissuade you, because the Most High gave us, I don't want to misquote, but several encouragements to keep the Passover, even give us a makeup day for it. And even the New Testament, Paul, the writer that people ascribe to taking people away from the Torah, even tells us to keep the feast day here. So, and yeah. Also, I just want to make mention, we should know that Messiah is the unleavened bread. He is the fulfillment of unleavened bread. He is the doctrine from heaven. He says that his doctrine is not even his own, but from his Father, which is in heaven. And we saw that it was starkly different than what the religious leaders and the religious system of the day was teaching. They were teaching a bunch of man-made commandments that were in opposition to Yahweh's commandments. And listen, brothers and sisters, we are like Messiah in that we have the same challenge ahead of us, that the people, his people, that we should love and seek to fish for, not to abuse and smack around and show how much we know and how much they don't, but to bring them into love and joy and to restore them to the truth in humility and sincerity and in truth and in long suffering, sometimes needing to lay hands on the sick and the poor, just like Messiah did. And so we have the same great challenge ahead of us, is to get people away from the doctrines of men. And so let us do so. let's go to verse 22. Another interesting point about the Passover. People say that we should just stay in our houses and not leave, like this indicates. I do want to make mention that Messiah is the ultimate embodiment of how we should walk out the commandments. And I just want to remind that during the Last Supper, which I do believe is a Passover meal, that as he's taking the cup, talking about the New Testament, during the Passover, it says, verse 30, and then when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. So they went outside and went for a little walk. Praise Yah. And then, of course, you have to recognize that when they got into the land of promise, they all had to leave their houses, at least all the males did, 3 times a year to come celebrate the Passover. And then you look in the times of like Josiah and Hezekiah, and they were just having these big, huge celebrations. And so I do think that this part of the commandment of the Passover was specifically for that. And I think Messiah, is the biggest witness, because he would not break the commandment if this was something to be understood outside of the first Passover event. So scooting along into the gathering, or the plague of the firstborn. Man, what a hard night, even for your enemies. Like, hopefully we should be the kind of people that we love our children, and we know how much joy our own children we have, and these people, though they may be wicked, these children, it's like, that's hard. And they certainly reaped what they sowed, what they had sown with killing all the Israelite babies and all the oppression and the terror and the hard-heartedness and all the things they had done. The book of Jasher really goes into detail of how horrible the Egyptians were. The Genesis and Exodus accounts are very brief on the hardship. Just sadistic things like when they were building the wall, like if they didn't reach a certain quota, that person would have to go get their child and put them in the wall and build around them until that child literally died of starvation, and then hear their cries and just literally hear them starve to death. And point being is, obviously we should have a little healthy fear of Yahweh, recognizing again, Daddy does know how to bring out the belt and chasten, and righteous are the judgments of Yahweh. So we should have a healthy fear. Our whole life shouldn't be driven by just not wanting to get spanked by Daddy, but this should be a healthy part of our rearing up and growing up, is we should have a healthy fear of Daddy. And yeah, he knows how to wield it really well, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of things. So certainly that keeps continues to keep me motivated, lest we draw back into sin and get chastened. I know how hard the chastening can be, but we see, of course, the children of Israel numbered 600,000 that were men. So this is just the fighting men, beside the children and the women. And there's going to be a numbering again for war. Revelation 7 tells us the numbering of the 144,000. I think those are just the fighting men for war that are going to be behind Yahusha and his army. Second Esdras 2, 33 through 47, read that when you have some time. I believe that's a clear picture of the 144,000, a group of people that come out of the darkness of this world, that confess Messiah, that stand stiffly for the name of Yahweh, and that fulfill the Torah. That's who these people are. And Exodus 12:41, talking about, came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self same day. So literally Yahweh got it on the exact day, which reminds me that all things are going to happen in his timing, because Revelation 9:15, I think, is saying the same thing. The 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. So literally, I think this literal specific moment. So praise Yah. So culminating, it is a night to be much observed unto Yahweh for bringing them out of the land of Mitzrayim. This is that night of Yahweh to be observed of all the children of Yasharel in their generation. So this is like the big night, and we just did it a few months ago, and I just remember, True story. Every time I go to speak, whether it's recording for YouTube or, up at the I don't like the pulpit, but speaking in front of the assembly, there's just that little jitter of like a little bit of not a fear, but like just a healthy little like, Yahweh help me. But at Passover, I was really like, oh man, this is such a big night. Like this is like so much anticipation. Like, wow, I can't get this wrong. I can't get this wrong for the honor of Yahweh, what he did. And so, but just a little reminder, Jeremiah 23:7-8. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh lives, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh lives, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country and from all countries where I had driven them, and they shall dwell on their own land. So it's literally going to be so much bigger than the first one. So once again, I want to be on the right side of things, my brethren. So verse 46 also, of course, pointing to Messiah. It's the lamb, no bone should be broken. An examination of Psalm 34 prophesies that not one bone will be broken. We look at John 19, the story of how they were going to break his bones, but since he was already dead, they didn't. If you were not aware, just crucifixion was just one of the most torturous deaths, and you literally die by asphyxiation. Your lungs fill up with fluid, all the while, of course, your whole body weight is being hung up by nails in your hands and in your feet. And the lungs would get filled up with fluid, so that one would have to like gain up their strength and push on their feet, which already hurt so bad, just to get a breath. And then the lungs would fill back up again, and so after a certain amount of time, they'd break the legs so they wouldn't be able to get back a breath anymore, and they would just asphyxiate and die. But since he was already dead, they didn't have to do that, and just praise be to Yah. And so the Passover should always remind us, of course, what Yahusha endured, what great lengths he endured to rid of our sin, and that should be a reminder of, man, I don't want to do that. And then 6 months later, of course, we're reminding ourselves a Day of Atonement with and so, which the whole crucifixion scene, there were some elements of the Day of Atonement there with the two goats. One is for sacrifice. One is sent out into the wilderness. And anyways, I do want to mention this. I am going to probably put out a video before the next Passover. This literally says that you cannot keep the Passover without being circumcised. Some people will spiritualize that and even speak against physical circumcision today. I just want to address up front, I do believe that the real faith is like Abraham, that you start with faith and then you obey. So it was like Yahweh was like, hey, leave everything you have and come follow me. All right, he did that. All right, now I'm going to give him my commandments. And so in a similar way, I think one is saved by believing first and foremost. There is no saving leading off with circumcision. There's no saving leading off with the Sabbath or leading off with keeping the Passover is your salvation. It's in Messiah, and it's in believing him, and it's in following him. And that even can look different for some of us because leaving addiction, which I had to do through alcoholism, it may not have been your story and what your call was. You may not have had to leave a certain lifestyle. Some people may have had to been called to leave certain lifestyles or whatever it may be. The point is that it starts with faith, belief, and then obedience. But let's take a look at just a couple passages. Again, I'm going to do a much more detailed study, Yah willing. 1 Corinthians 7:18-20. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of Elohim. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. Now, context alert. This is circumcision and uncircumcision was really a common slang term for literally just calling natural-born Jews and unnatural, and just Gentiles, not natural-born Jews. That was like slang term. So Paul was literally saying, like, hey, it's the same thing that John the Baptist was saying, like. Don't say to yourselves that, I have Abraham to our father, because these stones, Yahweh can turn them into the seed of Abraham. So he's literally saying here, being a natural born Jew does you nothing, because he goes on to say that those that don't believe in Christ are cut off from the olive tree, and those that don't believe in Messiah are not saved, And so he's literally saying that your native history is nothing, because he's not going to call a commandment of Elohim nothing when he just says that it's all about the keeping of the commandments of Elohim. So he's literally saying you don't have to become like acting like a natural born Jew. And that's what that whole dissension was between Peter and Paul and in the book of Galatians. But literally, Acts 16, either Paul talks out of both sides of his mouth and is false, or, we're not understanding what he was saying here, because literally Acts 16, then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess, and believed, but his father was a Greek, which was well reported of by the brethren that were at Lystra and Iconium. And him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised him, because the Jews which were in those quarters, for they all knew that his father was a Greek. And as they went through the cities, they delivered them the decrees for to keep, and were ordained of the apostles and elders which are in Jerusalem. And consider, the Acts 15 assembly just happened, that people also use to promote a lawless faith. And consider, the heart of the Father was that if a sojourner wanted to come, they could, but they had to keep the ordinances. That's the heart he shared in Numbers 15, 13 through 16, and the same thing here. And when a stranger shall sojourn with you, and will keep the Pesach to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. Period. And I think that applies today as well. So, again, some of you that may be, quoting some other verses in your mind and be like, Adam, whoa, this is crazy. How can you still be for circumcision? It's mutilation. It's this. And that's what the world says. Compare that with what Yahweh says, and compare that with what Paul literally just did in Acts 16, right after they had the Acts 15 council, that they literally determined that one is not saved by circumcision. Okay, great. We're not saved by that. Praise Yahweh, we're saved by belief, but let's go on to keep the Torah like we're saying we're doing. Why be partial in it? Why pick that out and be like, well, I don't like that? It is bloody. It is hard. And the Torah is not a burden in a lot of ways. But sometimes there are some decisions that are hard. I mean, consider, for a lot of you have suffered a lot of loss by just standing firm for, like, not doing Christmas anymore, not doing Sunday. And then we have a growing movement in Torah that it's like, oh, is it really that big of a deal? I mean, yeah, it is. Sure it is. It is the difference. Who you obey is your master. And this is a sign forever. It's the same thing. We can't sit here and be partial and say, yeah, Adam, you're right. Pesach is forever. But no. Not circumcision. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be an Elohim unto you and to your seed after you. And I will give unto you and to your seed after you. Here we go. Verse 10. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your seed after you. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised. And you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token, a sign of the covenant between me and you. Man, I got to start adding that to my sign of the markings. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. And so some of you are like, well, I missed that, so might as well just throw it out the window. Okay, do it on day 460. Do it on day 13,000. It's better than not doing it all. And he that is born in your house or bought with money of any stranger which is not of your seed, he that is born in your house and he that is bought with your money must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man-child whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. And going back to Exodus 4, here we go. Where is it? This is where Yeah, here we go. And it came to pass by the way the end that Yahweh met him and sought to kill him, and his son wasn't circumcised. And this is Moses, the leader, the coming leader of all the people. So Yahweh was not partial. It goes to show you why Yahweh was not partial. And so Zipporah is like, whoop, let me do this real quick. You're not going to kill him. So, important stuff. Important stuff, y'all. Real quick, before we move on to chapter 13, which is honestly really short, I'll probably just read that, and I've got maybe just a quick thing. So I want to make mention about the future Passover gathering, or just the end times gathering. Jeremiah 31:8, behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame and the woman with child and her that travails with child together. A great company shall return thither. Now, when you go to the Septuagint version, behold, I will bring them from the north and will gather them from the end of the earth to the feast of Passover. Kind of cool, y'all. So let's go on to chapter 13. Praise Yah. Chapter 13. Shemot, Exodus, chapter 13. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying,
Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever opens the womb among the children of Yasharel, both of man and of beast, it is mine.
And Moshe said unto the people,
Remember this day, in which you came out from Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand Yahweh brought you out from this place. There shall no chametz be eaten. This day came ye out in the month Abib. And it shall be, when Yahweh shall bring you into the land of the Canaanim, and the Chittim, and the Amorim, and the Chivim, and the Yebusim, which he swore unto your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in this month. 7 days you shall eat matzah, and in the 7th day shall be a feast unto Yahweh. Matzah shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no chametz be seen with you, neither shall there be leaven seen with you in all your quarters. And ye shall show your son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which Yahweh did unto me, when I came forth out of Mitzrayim. And it shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that Yahweh's Torah may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand has Yahweh brought you out of Mitzrayim. You shall therefore guard this ordinance in his appointed time from year to year. And it shall be, when Yahweh shall bring you into the land of the Canaanim, as he swore unto you and to your fathers, and shall give it you, that you shall set apart unto Yahweh all that open the womb, and every firstling that comes of a beast which you have. The males shall be Yahweh's. And every firstling of an ass you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you will not redeem it, then you shall break his neck. And all the firstborn of man among your children shall you redeem. And it shall be, when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What is this? That you shall say unto him, By strength of hand Yahweh brought us out from Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that Yahweh slew all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both of the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to Yahweh all that opens the womb, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a mark upon your hand, and for frontlets between your eyes. For by strength of hand Yahweh brought us forth out of Mitzrayim.
Okay, so Yah willing, I would also like to do a short study on what it looks like to redeem our firstborn. Now, of course, we know that Messiah Yahushua redeemed us, and it is the firstborn of all creation. And there's lots of spiritual implications. But I'm just at a point in my life. I'm gonna be honest with you. I want to keep everything that I can, and so maybe if it's a symbolic offering, looking at those who have studied this out before me, people have concluded that this redemption would be equivalent to about about 3.25 ounces of silver today. Of course, you can convert that into dollars and make some sort of offering. Some people have said to, offer up a special meal in the assembly or feed the poor, take care of widows. There's lots of different ways to do that today. But it is something I just don't want to just read right past this and be like, yeah, we don't do that anymore. Okay, well, can we do something in memorial of it? I don't want to just zoom right past the handful of things that say that this will be a mark between me and you forever, and so the redemption of the firstborn son is something to be looked at, and you livestock owners, looking at myself as well, also how to handle that as well. Just not something to be completely ignored. But here in this chapter, we have two marks. We just saw it, the firstborn, but also just keeping the 7 days of unleavened bread. And when you show it to your children, so there's got to be another step there, that when you do this, it'll be a sign on your hand or a mark. The Hebrew word is ot, which can mean a literal distinguishing mark, like a branding a cattle, like you are mine. So when you do this, Yahweh's like, you're mine. Just like when you do the Sabbath, you're mine. When you do all the commandments, you're mine. As we read in Genesis 17, when you circumcise your sons, that shows me that you're mine. Even though all the world calls it whatever they want to call it. Anyways, so finished with the Torah portion this week. Obviously, my encouragement here is to keep these feast days. If you have not, let this be your first year. Matter of fact, I want to show you the feast days that are coming up soon. Let me do a quick screen share again. So we've got some feast days coming up. So it's looking like we should be able to spot the new moon on September 22nd. This will mark the first day of the 7th month. So the first day of the 7th month will be on the evening of Monday the 22nd through the 23rd. It is important to note that the new moon, it's possible that it won't be spotted. It does show to 1.3 to 1.4% illumination, which could and should be able to be seen, but it's possible. And if we don't, we're gonna move the festival back a day. And so for those of you taking off work, I would take off, making sure you're not working Monday night, and I would not work through Wednesday night. So I would just kind of leave this open. But if everything goes according to plan, we're going to celebrate the Feast of Trumpets from the evening of the 22nd of September to the evening of the 23rd. It's a 24-hour, one-day festival. We're not going to go into details of how to celebrate that today. I have a whole playlist on how to keep the feast days. This is just the when for this year. Day of Atonement. Again, if we sight the new moon on the 22nd, Day of Atonement will be from the evening of Wednesday, the 1st of October, to Thursday night. As we read earlier, the Day of Atonement is celebrated from evening to evening. And I meant to mention that, but looking at the Unleavened Bread Week and Atonement are two witnesses for me that confirm that is the heart and way of Yahweh and not the exception to the rule. That just doesn't seem to be how he operates. So Day of Atonement definitely would not work during this time, and it's possible everything would be kicked back a day, so I would leave. I would make sure I'm not working these days. Tabernacle Sukkot, Monday, October 6th at evening to the 14th at evening. And by the way, we are doing a Sukkot celebration on the land here. We should have the sign-ups. We are moving from Eventbrite to our own website. Praise Yah, that should be saving a lot of people fees. Sorry about that. But praise Yah, my wife is wonderful and handy, and she got a plug-in for our website and is making our own ticketing system this year. As always, those that can't afford the ticket price, we ask to pay for it because there's a lot of costs. We do several ministry meals, and just a lot of costs. We pay. We pay our brothers and sisters here that live on site and are the hands and feet of this ministry that, put up the tent, take down the tent, cook the meals, tend the animals here, subdue this property with me and order it and direct it. And so we believe in, paying everyone. So those that can't afford the ticket prices, please help us out. And if you can't, don't let that deter you from coming. We always have those that are willing to help cover the costs for ticket prices for other people. And so this is a great time. You see, that's kind of the heart of the feast days, is those who have extra pitch in and help the less fortunate, or the less, those who have less money. About that. It's just that's how Yah's system balances. It's great to see that those who have abundance come and brings extra, and those who have little, we have people that come there that get here with negative checking accounts and with the gas gauge pinned at E, and they don't even know how they got here, and so, but they did get here, and so there's always miracle stories like that. So the point is, the heart of it is that we want you to come. If you believe in Messiah and you want to keep the Torah to the best of your understanding, even if that understanding is just very brand new, that's the right heart we're looking for. That's who we want to celebrate this with. And even those of you that may have unbelieving spouses and maybe even some unbelieving teens that aren't quite there yet, I'd say bring them, as long as they're, of course, not going to, as long as they're well behaved enough to be in a community for 8 days, 9 days. Well, really, it's 10 days with camping, but you know what I mean. Just like, yeah. So hopefully the registration will be up soon. Book of Revelation audio book is coming out soon. Praise Yah. Jake actually had that done for a while. I actually sat on that, so that was on me. And also want to share thanks. I did put a call out there for some help with financials. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those that responded, even those that just prayed for us, because I know a lot of us are hurting, and sometimes I could just use your prayers here. Keeping this community together and in the right direction, and the wolves out, and keeping it going here has been a challenge. It almost seems like the armies of hell are coming against us on a daily basis here. I don't know if anyone... Well, I know Colin in the community listens to these still, so Colin will probably chuckle at this. But it does seem like, all of dark forces are trying to just destroy this community here. And Yah willing, we're not going anywhere. So sometimes we can just use your prayers to help cover us, and because the enemy is always trying to do battle against us here. So praise be to Yah for that. So let's pray, and let's finish with a couple songs. Hallelujah. Father Yahweh, we just come before you in Yahushua's name. Bless you for this opportunity. Father, thank you for your word. Thank you for the inspiration through what the apostles did in the book of Acts, and just radical changes in their life. That's what you've shown us in our walk, Father. Radical changes, getting away from the pagan influences and the things that you hate, drawing us near to the things that you love. And Father, we just want to continue to do that in our life. Show us, search our hearts, try our reins, show us what we can do to improve our relationship with you, to show our love better to you, Father, because it is all about you. We love you. You're the one that's to be worshipped, and we do worship and praise you. In Yahushua's name, amen. Hallelujah. All right, I'm just going to play... a couple of songs here. What's this one? Let's do this one. And then I'm going to play The Weaving Hand that I think got cut off last week. My bad.
Cords of death surround me, and the torrents of destruction are overwhelming me in the darkness. When the snares of death are confronting me, oh, in my distress, in my weakness, I call, oh, in my distress, in my weakness, I call upon your name, I call upon your name, oh Yahweh. Rock in my deliverance, my strength and my mighty fortress. I love you, oh Yahuwah. In my desperation, I call upon your name. I rock in my day of my calamity. When I'm set before the face of my enemies, I will sing, I will shout, I will lift my voice and cry aloud. Yahuwah is my shield and the horn of my salvation. Yahuwah is my shield and the horn of my salvation. My rock and my deliverance, strength in my mighty fortress. I love you, Yahuwah. In my desperation I call upon your name. My rock and my deliverance, my strength in my mighty fortress. I love you, Yahuwah. In my desperation I call upon your name, and from my enemies I am saved. I am saved. Yahuwah thundered in the heavens, the Most High uttered his voice. When I cried to Elohim for help, he heard my voice. Then the earth was shaking and the mountains were trembling before the great and powerful presence of my Elohim, who sends out his arrows. Yahuwah thundered in the heavens, the Most High uttered his voice. When I cried to Elohim for help, he heard my voice. Was shaken and the mountains were trembling before the great and powerful presence of my Elohim, who sends out his arrows and scatters the enemy. Call upon your name, my rock and my deliverance, my strength and my mighty fortress. I love you, oh Yahuwah. In my desperation I call upon your name, and from my enemies I am saved. I am saved. I am saved.
Trusting the path that only you define. thoughts retreat. You promise plans for welfare and not for defeat.